for today. Yes. All right. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call to order. Got a little echo going on.
I'm trying to turn it off. There. Sorry.
Call to order the meeting of Johnson County Advisory Plan Commission for October 27, 2025 at 6 p.m. All right, roll call. Shaylee Bradley,
Here.
Charlie Canary. Here. J. Greg Cantwell, absent. Douglas Gray. Here. Steve Hickman. Here. Jonathan Myers here. Robert Page. Here. Stoney Van. Here. Ron West is absent. All right, I'd like to ask, and you should have received the minutes, and I'd like to ask for approval of the meeting minutes from July 28.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Steve. Second. I'll second. Second, Charlie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, that moves us into the public hearings, and this is the continuation of a hearing that was held in a prior meeting, and it's P-1-25 RSVR E 300 South Road Commercial Subdivision. This is for approval of that for a preliminary plat to create a 2-lot major commercial subdivision. Like to hear from staff at this time.
All right, P-1-25, the commercial subdivision. It's a proposal of preliminary plat, called RSBR East 300 South Road. The petitioner is SNR Properties LLC, represented by Overland Engineering LLC. As stated several times before, they are requesting approval of a preliminary plat that will create a 2-lot commercial subdivision. The property is located in Blue River Township. It is 5.23 acres. It is currently zoned GC General Commercial. Here is a zoning map with the parcel highlighted. It is at the southeast corner of East 300 South and South Old US 31. Here is a property is currently improved upon with a building structure that was once a agricultural cell barn, but now is being utilized by a SNR Properties as storage. This was the original proposal. It is lot 1 with 2 acres, lot 2 with 2 acres, 2.72 acres that would contain the existing building, with lot 1 being a vacant lot, eligible for development. All properties are going to be serviced by private sanitation system and all private wells. They will have their own individual road access. This did go to the technical review on April 15th for review and approval, or review and comments. I apologize. This originally did go to the May 6, 2026 meeting, but as a interested party expressed at our last meeting, it did have to go back to the drainage board to seek reapproval due to errors in notification. So the drainage board did hear this preliminary drainage plan on October 7th and did approve their preliminary plans for the preliminary plat. I have received approvals from all of the other checkpoint agencies, the highway department, the health department, the Amity Fire Department, and the electrical and Centerpoint Energy, JCRMC, and the planning engineer have all reviewed it and either have supplied approval or no objections. Based on the TRC and drainage board, it has been reviewed by staff that this plat is consistent with the Unified Development Ordinance and the zoning ordinance and subdivision control, which is within the Unified Development Ordinance. some of the things that were discussed once before, it was originally continued from its original hearing to July to look into traffic concerns. A traffic study was supplied by the petitioner to the highway department. In July, the highway department did respond back to my office. That was included in the July staff report. Where they concurred that there was no improvements that would be warranted and there was no necessarily overall concerns with the traffic crash data. The other thing that was not resolved at the point in the July meeting was the septic sanitation, the health department feedback. The petitioner so with the commercial sanitation, all proposals get reviewed by the state Department of Health. Then after they get reviewed and stuff like that, they do forward things down to the local department. They have proposed a septic system that has one sink finger system, but 2 tanks. So both of the lots will utilize the same septic system that will be on lot 1. So the lot 1 did get amended that you guys did get a copy of that has a septic easement. They have provided us their septic easement documentation and owner and user manual or maintenance agreements. So they will utilize a shared septic system. Again, that was reviewed by the state. And the health department has given me that the local health department says they will follow through with what the state has originally approved as far as a shared septic system. So the plat has been amended to show us a septic easement. Other than that, I believe all outstanding items have been addressed and resolved. Any questions?
Any questions from the commission?
I have one. Is that common to share septic like that?
Well, I'm not the health department, so I do
Well-
not look at septic systems a whole lot, other than making sure that anything that is gonna be serviced by a septic system gets their appropriate permit. I don't think it's very common. I think it's unusual, but
Can you go back to the zoning chart? And it's that entire area that's currently commercial.
Correct.
Away from,
correct.
is that part of our development plan to encourage commercial growth in those areas?
As far as a comprehensive plan,
Yeah.
sorry. I apologize. I can pull up our comprehensive plan in a minute.
Any other questions?
Michelle, do you know what the existing building that's on there, what it's being used for?
SNR Properties at one point, I think, is an HVAC contractor or some kind of mechanical contractor. I believe they use their property for storage.
Storage?
But I mean, the few times that I've been out there, it's been appeared very vacant.
So since they're going to share the septic system now, right? The capacity of it, this original site won't draw that much.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's one of the things that the state had looked at there, because when you have to, especially in commercial, you have to submit what your use is, and what you're using each building for, and they have all that technical stuff, which, sorry, it's beyond my expertise.
Their wheelhouse, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Michelle, if they are using that for storage, that's for their personal storage, right?
Their business storage,
Business storage. Could they turn that into a general
yes,
storage?
retail use is a permitted use.
Okay.
Charlie, any of the acceptable uses under the general commercial are applicable, so it could be
Yeah.
retail, grocery, restaurant, hotel, library, medical office.
If it changes, does it have to come before our commission for approval?
What change?
If the use of this original building, say, changes to a contractor shop or some other
So
commercial grade where there's a higher volume,
as long,
Use.
so the use is general commercial, so anything permitted under the permitted use can go there at any time
at will.
at will. Right now, we're just talking about land division. So we're seeking to honor their, see if they can divide their property for another commercial structure.
Any other questions? So Steve, help me out here. I think, I just need to declare that this meeting is being held in accordance with Indiana's open door law to ensure the public's right to observe and attend. So, Steve, I'm gonna let you take over. from
All
here.
right. This is a public hearing. And so anyone who wishes to speak for or against this petition, you will need to stand and raise your right hand and take the oath of a witness. Now's the time to do that. And anybody who wishes to speak, now is the time. And I assume that everyone that wants to speak or might speak is standing. So please be sworn in here. Do you and each of you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. Thank you. You want me to tell them the kind of rules?
Yes, please.
Okay, we will start with the petitioner who has 15 minutes to state their case, present their petition. After which the remonstrators, anyone who is opposed to the petition, will have a combined total of 20 minutes to state their comments. After which the petitioner will have 5 minutes of rebuttal time. So, petitioner. And by the way, please, when you come to the podium, start by giving your name and address for the record.
Hello again, I'm Dave Peters with Chamlin and Associates at 4152 Progress Boulevard in Peru, Illinois, and we're on behalf of Overland Engineering. Okay, well, to kind of just do a general review of the site since it has been a little bit. So lot 1 is the lot we're looking to develop to split. And so there will be, get the site plan here. Each site will have separate entrances. The entrance to lot 1 will come off East 300 South Road. It'll be a commercial Dollar General store is the plan. So we'll have our parking lot, and then to the east of that will be the store. Across the north there, underneath the entrance, there'll be a culvert which will drain to the west, and then also the parking lot south of the parking lot is the proposed detention basin. Will capture the stormwater. The sanitary, the septic system that's kind of been in question the last couple months. Initially, it was going to be a different system. We got some, feedback from the local and state health departments. And so now the shared system seems to appease a lot of the issues. Being that the septic system was relatively newer on the existing property, I think 2023, there was some pushback about removing that, which is understandable. So the existing septic, instead of going to its own leach field, the existing septic will pump to the new septic, and then from there it will go into a new leach field. So it will be a shared septic. The Dollar General will have its own tanks. The existing tanks will be there, so there should be plenty of capacity. And as far as the easement goes, the easement will be to the east side behind the building, pretty much all the way to the lot line. We wrote the easement, or at least to the building setback, just to give them enough room for when they go to construction to make sure it fits where they're going to build it and have enough room for the leach field and all that type of things. Let me see if there's any other points to bring up really that we haven't talked about. Like Michelle said, we did provide the traffic study initially to the highway department. There didn't seem to be any issues with that. And the drainage was approved last month. So if there's any questions about the site in general or uses or anything, I can answer them. I think we've pretty much reviewed. Everything needs to be reviewed. The zoning is currently commercial, so that should suffice for what we plan to build here. And I'll answer any questions need be.
Questions for the petitioner?
No. You'll be given that opportunity to make comments and pose rhetorical questions that the petitioner can then respond to when they have the rebuttal.
Thank you.
All right, the remonstrators now, first remonstrator would come to the podium, state your name and address, please.
Did we state our time? Did you state that time?
Like,
The overall time? Did you state the time?
I said
Okay.
20 minutes in total.
I just tuned you.
go ahead, sir.
My name's Dave Eder, and I live at 2978 South Old 31. Adjacent to this property, catty corner in the intersection. And I've looked through the county's unified development ordinance, the UDO. And on page 128, table 5.4, it states all commercial subdivisions require a minimum of 10 acres. This property is about half that, the required minimum. This goes against the county's UDO. On page 218 C-1, it says you cannot develop land not in accordance with all the provisions of the UDO. This includes subdivisions. According to this hearing should not be taking place. Why is it?
That will be responded to at some point in the future in this proceeding.
Okay. My next one is in the UDO, chapter 7A3 states all platting of land must comply with the UDO. This plat isn't accurate. The adjacent property owners are not correct, which is required as stated on page 179 D4. The plat has Terry Moore owning all property north of 300 South. He owns none of it. He lives on the other side of the railroad and on the other side of the road. This plat is not accurate as required. In the June meeting, Mr. West asked for a traffic study of the intersection. I don't believe this study supplied by the petitioner is what he asked for. On page 136, 3C2 of the UDO, it says any commercial development deemed to increase traffic needs analyzed. This subdivision does that. On page 133, 62F, it says rules of NDOT apply if the subdivision or any lot contained therein abuts a state highway or a connecting road. This does exactly that. Half of this intersection of 300 South and 031 is the county. The other half is a state highway. This should be approved by NDOT too. The traffic study the petitioner supplied has not one mention of NDOT. It must comply to NDOT standards. Page 133, 62F. Half of this report is based on a study of a variety store, number 814 in Florida in 2010. What study is this? This should be reviewed by and approved by NDOT also. I do not believe it has. On page 152, table 7.1 of the UDO, it states all commercial subdivisions must meet major subdivision approval. It cannot be a minor. At the Drainage Board on October 7th, Mr. Hoover, the engineer, asked for approval of a primary and final plat for a minor. It states on page 153, table 7.2, that a major subdivision cannot combine plats. The approval was for a minor combining primary and final plats. This is a major, not a minor. The notes at the bottom of the table of 7.2 state no minor approval allowed. Even with all these reasons to deny this, this is a bad intersection. Traffic is bad without adding more. It's dangerous. This subdivision is not right for a number of reasons. This cannot be approved. This needs to be denied. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Eddard.
My name is John Bonstead. I live at 2391 South Old US 31. I was here at the last meeting and I spoke about my concerns on the septic system, and Charlie, it's unusual that we'd have 2 on 1. I'll try to maybe get to that later if we have more time. But the purpose of your Unified Development Ordinance is to promote public health, to establish guidelines, to ensure policy for safe sanitary facilities, and to guarantee adequate water and sewage. And it's also in number 11. These are all in your ordinance in the introduction. Prevent pollution, encourage the wise use of land and the management of our natural resources. This project does none of the above. And it's right there in your introduction to your ordinance. Now I've spent 40 years working in the county health department. I don't work there anymore. I'm happily retired. I was proud of the service that I had. And the county health department, I've talked to them about this case, and they're not here, and they haven't expressed they've expressed concern to me, but they feel like their hands are tied because the State Department of Health is now telling what the requirements are. I don't work for the State Department of Health anymore, but I know what's right. I worked in sewage waste disposal for 40 years. If you want a system that's going to work, you have to have a couple things. You have to have good soils. These soils are tight, heavy clay. They've been filled and they're compacted. They have seasonal wetness limitations. All those are factors that make septic systems very limited. The State Department of Health has sent out a letter. I got a copy of it. And I'm not ashamed to tell you about it because the lady, I don't know the lady that wrote the letter. She's new since I started or since I retired. She uses language like, she tells you what they have to do to try to rehabilitate the site to make it workable. But she uses language like, this is a real challenge. It's a risk. And if you do some of the things they talk about, you may render the site unsuitable. And we've got one system there now that's a replacement to a system that was previously failing. You're going to tear that one out and build one maybe on a site that you've altered. You're making a terrible mistake in going forward with this. It just doesn't make sense. Now, Charlie, to have 2 systems, 2 uses on one, I can think of in 40 years I did this kind of work. Lamb Lake had a couple combined systems where they had 2 or 3 lots go together and they had a homeowners association took care of it. There may be others, but I can't think of them. This is unusual. The other concern I have is, and it was kind of mentioned, if they change the use of that building, the daily design flow will change. So you're going to build a system for what is proposed right now. If they come in there with something greater water usage, that throws the formula way out of whack. And there's not enough space for it. You've got a big parking lot. You got a pretty good sized footprint of the building. You got marginal soils. I don't see how you could ever replace this system once it goes in. If it fails, which I think there's a likelihood it would fail, we're out of luck. I'm not out of luck. Somebody's out of luck. It's just a poor choice. Well, I can skip some of this because I want to let other people have a chance to talk. I just think the project is high risk. If you want to set guidelines and policy for wise use of our land and development, you need to look at this one in a negative light. It's not a good choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bonset. Next.
I'm not a public speaker. My name is Carolyn Joanne Kinney. I live at 3487 South 550 East.
Thank you.
I travel the road from 300 South to 031 twice, maybe 3 times a day. I have almost been in a collision 3 different times. To get to turn off of 031 onto 300 South, they have the right of way turning off of 031. Turning off of 31. There's no stop sign. 300 South has a stop sign, so you stay stopped. The next entrance leading from 31 onto 031 has a stop sign. Most people don't stop. That's where I get nailed every time. The other morning at 5 o'clock, there was cars going the wrong way to get to 31. I don't know who did the traffic study, but they're wrong. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Any other remonstration?
I have a copy of the letter from the State Department of Health. I'd like to see it.
Has that been provided already with the packet?
I just have communication with the local health department. I don't have anything from the state.
My name is Leslie Leeper. I live at 5770 East, 300 South. I've been a resident for 11 years at that same address. I just want to note what several others have stated. That is a very unsafe intersection right there. I don't believe that traffic study was accurate. I also want to say a lot of things probably weren't factored in. Interstate closures, that brings a lot of traffic through that area, making it even more dangerous when you have semis going down those tiny roads. I also had a couple of questions. I'm not sure if I just didn't catch it or it wasn't answered, but you said that there would be 2 entrances to these lots. I caught where the first one was for lot 1. I didn't catch where that second one would be. Logistically, I have no idea how that would work for the second lot unless we're continuing the J turn further south. Also, I would like to ask if you had any current graphics for us to look over. When you spoke, there was really nothing for us to reference. And then I also would like to see what direction the fingers are supposed to be for the septic system. I didn't catch that if you said it. I think that's all.
Thank you. Any other remonstrators? If none, the petitioner.
A couple that I'd like to touch on would be the traffic study. We were here in April. And we had people physically on site at that intersection counting the traffic during peak hours. We do it 6 hours a day, 3 hours in the morning rush, 3 hours in the afternoon rush. And we use the Indiana Design Manual from INDOT to suggest if there's any improvements or anything needed. And according to their manual, there was none. So that's where our numbers are coming from our study and their manual. So that should suffice, at least in terms of what INDOT requires. And the entrance to lot 1, like I said, is going to be off East 300 South, and then the entrance to lot 2 would stay the same there off Old US 31. And then as far as the soils on the site for the septic, per the health department, they're issued the permit as long as we have a maintenance agreement in place with the current owner and then the new owner, which we do. And then also there'll be soil testing ongoing throughout the construction of the septic field as well. And as far as the fingers of the septic site, I don't know if you can see that. I can't get this to all of you, I guess, but here's the current system and the current tanks. Which are right on the north side of lot 2. The new tanks are going to go right behind the proposed store. The existing tank will pump to the new tank, which will then go into the septic field. And there's plenty of room, I guess, east of the store, up until the property line. So one will pump to the other, then to the septic field. Okay, I think that's all I have. Yeah, there we go. So the current septic is right here, which is with its leach pipe going north. The proposed one will be right here. So this one will pump around north to here, and they'll go into the septic field right here. And then the entrance here's the entrance up here. The current entrance for lot 2 is down here. Right here.
May I ask a question?
Yes,
If you could expand a little bit down on that northern entrance. Is that all the picture? No, the other way. There. How many feet do you know is that from that intersection?
Let's see if
I don't know where you measure the intersection to where that entrance is at. And that,
it looks like it's about 150 feet. If I had to guess, I don't have the exact measurement on here, but it's about 150 feet, I believe.
but from my experience, and I've got quite a bit on that site, that is a bear. Anybody coming from the north has to turn, and as soon as you turn on the 300, you got to make a right-hand turn. If there's nobody else there. If there's someone else there, you sit on Old 31 till you can make the turn. That's my thing. I know their traffic study listed 4 accidents. I mean, even if there's not an accident, there's still problems.
Sure.
The one to the south, I know this is different, but to me, this is injurious the way I look at it. That entrance to the south, you cannot see. And unless they're going to do, I mean, that's not part of your problem, but it ought to be. I mean, if we're making it that way. And that entrance down there, I mean, that exit there, or whatever you want to call it, Old 31 off of 31, that's an exit ramp. That's exactly what that is. I mean, they're coming full bore right off of that. And then you got an entrance there, which is also the exit. See, now you have an opportunity to make an exit going north instead of having to exit down the Old 31.
Yeah, we did see here, there is room, so lot 2 kind of goes around up here, and there is room up here. Should they choose going up there as well?
That's okay. I'm just looking at what my experience is from that.
Yep, thank you.
And that may not be a big issue, but it sure looks to me like it could be. I don't know. And that was my question about why, if that use changed on that down there. But that makes a big difference on traffic and on septic.
Thank you. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
There was one question in particular, I think that would be good to address, and hopefully Michelle, you can address it. There was a mention of a provision in the Unified Development Ordinance requiring all commercial subdivisions to be 10 acres in size. Is that something that you can address?
Yeah, hold on a second. All right, so just kind of a history reminder, October of 2024 is when we adopted our new ordinance. Prior to 2024, our subdivision control ordinance had only two types of subdivisions, a major and a minor. A minor is anything 4 lots or less, regardless if it's industrial, commercial, or in residential. And then anything that was more than 4 lots is considered a major subdivision. That being said, that's probably why the terminology was used by engineer in a drainage board hearing about a minor subdivision. He has been doing this with our department for over 5 years, and everything that's less than 4, it's always been a minor. This has been a new development in our new ordinance where we said commercial subdivision. It's not necessarily a major and it's not necessarily a minor, it's a commercial subdivision. Now under our procedures, we say it is treated as a major subdivision. As you can see, the standard says minimal development size. Now, this is a brand new standard to this ordinance. Prior to October 2024, there was no minimum size requirement for major, minor, or anything. And I don't it says minimum development size. It doesn't necessarily say minimum parcel size. By looking back through some of my language, they had originally submitted a minor plat. That's probably, and then once we reviewed it and we had discussions with the petitioner to do platting and to do site development prior to the adoption of this ordinance. So it was probably just a foresight that we saw that minimum 10 acres. Again, it's a new standards, one that I honestly didn't see a whole lot of until, recently. But so it was not necessarily a requirement when they originally had discussed with us when they were trying to do a minor plat. They actually had submitted a minor plat during TRC before, and I said, nope, we got to change this, and we're treating it as a major accordance with our new UDO. So it's not necessarily just something that we're just trying to sneak in and ignore. It's just a standard that says a minimum development size, which could be not necessarily interpreted as a minimum parcel size because it doesn't say parcel size.
So was the petition for this filed before or after?
The official petition was filed after the adoption date.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
You have a view on how this provision might be applied to this petition?
Say that again. Like, what's the point of it?
On its face, it says 10-acre minimum development size. We have a plat that's been proposed to us, and I don't have the total acreage in front of me, but appears to be less than 10 acres in size. 5 acres.
It is well known that it's 5 acres.
Okay. So, how do we deal with this provision of the ordinance in this case?
With it being in chapter chapter 5, it would be something that would be considered a waiver from the planning commission.
Okay, so it would be eligible presumably for a waiver, but if I understand correctly, no specific waiver was requested.
No.
Is there a procedure that's required in order to grant a waiver or apply for a waiver? Does that require a separate notice or a hearing? And maybe not even separate, but a notice and hearing of the waiver request?
This application, a petitioner for a waiver or modification shall be submitted in writing by the subdivider prior to the time or at the time of the preliminary plat is filed. The petitioner shall state the full grounds of the application and all the facts reliable upon the petitioner. And then there's criteria.
Would I be correct that that would require a public hearing on that waiver?
It's Indiana code.
Sorry.
Do you want me to tell you the code so you can?
Well, unfortunately, my
Yeah.
computer is
Is it?
operating slowly tonight.
There is no, it says criteria, it says public improvements is adjustment, the PC may waive or modify at the time of the preliminary approval and subject to any appropriate conditions. This particular section does not say anything about public notice requirements.
Then why is there a provision to do it?
What?
Why is there a provision to file for it if they don't have to do it when it's filed? On a waiver, why is there provision to have a waiver if we're not going to require it to be done?
Yeah. Can you just get a
In a time, in a time.
Charlie, I'm not quite understanding what you're saying.
Can you pull it closer to you?
Well, the question,
Charlie, we hear Charlie, somebody else.
the question is, to me, if there's a provision that it has to be filed, or the waiver needs to be done when it's filed, then why do we not have to require
Which
it?
just was not, something that was never discussed. Indiana Code 33674-702C is, you could say a standard fix in the subdivision control ordinance may be waived by the discretion of the plan commission or plat committee on acting on the behalf of the commission. However, to be approved, the plat must still meet all applicable standards in the zoning ordinance, which this is not necessarily the zoning or the chapter 5 is not the zoning ordinance in this standard. as a condition of granting the waiver of the section, the commission may allow and require commitments to be made under this section. Go more?
But so I'm not seeing in that provision, at least from what you read,
Yeah.
a requirement for a hearing.
If I see that correctly. That said, in our ordinance, the UDO, I believe it says that the petition for waiver is to be submitted in writing by the subdivider prior to or at the time when the primary plat is filed. And the approval of the plat requires notice and public hearing, right? It seems reasonable to me that the petition should have included a waiver and then that opportunity for notice of the waiver to the public as part of the public hearing. It makes sense. So,
Being at kind of an impasse here, could we,
well, you could. Well, there's different ways you could
Respond to the situation. You could simply deny it based upon not meeting the 10-acre provision in our ordinance. Or you could, and as part of that, suggest if they wanted to seek a waiver, they have the right to do that as long as they, follow the correct procedures. And the alternative, if you felt like it, you could choose to waive it kind of on your own without having been asked. I think that's questionable as to whether or not that's the appropriate way to handle it if you haven't been requested to do it and there hasn't been notice.
right? And has this, so how did we continue? We continued this at the last hearing. Can it be continued again or in order for those things to be addressed where
You could. The Planning Commission has that discretion.
so it's just my opinion that we've raised several concerns here and then of course there are other options to the other avenues to take for every person here, I think. So
My big question with allowing us to make a waiver on it. It's be like, so anybody could present something to us and all of a sudden we could just say, oh, well, we'll waive that. And I think that's backwards. myself.
and I agree.
And I don't know, am I missing something here? Because we've had the same comments at all these meetings. And yet they still want to put this building here, this business, which is their business. I mean, it's whatever they want to do. But it just appears to me as we found a parcel, we're going to shoehorn it in there. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. What makes this the best use for that? I don't know. Maybe there's something else.
My other side of that, Charlie, though, is it's already a general commercial site.
Yeah,
So it could be a much bigger building, much bigger business, much bigger traffic without any input from us whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think that we have to stay within our guidelines. We have to stay within our guardrails. But at this point in time, doesn't seem like we are doing that. So, and it may be because of some unknowns, some variables. And
What would be I'm just outside this provision of 12 acres or 10 acres, sorry. What else are your unknowns? Because I feel like we have continued this 2 or 3 times and I have forwarded this to the appropriate health department. I have forwarded this to the appropriate highway department that they have in their knowledge and their department have provided a feedback. So, I'm just, instead of trying to, and I don't mind us kicking the can again or anything to address this, but if they come back and fix this request and ask for a waiver from the 10-acre requirement, is there gonna be something else that you guys are gonna want outside of this verbiage that we have to address, that other than the 10 acre? Is what I'm trying to make sure we discuss everything and not get hanged up on the 10 acre part right now.
Well, comments, further discussion?
I don't have a real problem with the 10 acre. I just think that should have been done to begin with. I mean, like you said, you could put bigger development on the same acreage. It's not, you know.
I'll make a motion. You'll entertain one.
Yes, sir.
We have 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I thought we had some time here.
That was not reserved, and typically the procedure that is followed is that once it's used, or once you have completed comments, it moves to the reply, and then we're done with the public hearing, you know.
But you said 20, 15 and an additional here.
That was within
Starts with
that time.
15, you had 20, up to 20, and you took what you wanted, and then 5 after that.
We don't get to say anything else.
That's what the rules say.
Seems like you're messing with the rules already. Just asking.
Well,
Well, there's a motion on. Stone.
I'd like to make a motion for an unfavorable recommendation to the county Board of Commissioners for.
excuse me, sir. Yeah, because of the type of petition this is completely in your control. This is
No,
doesn't
we don't
require a
have a
recommendation or not. You just say yes or no, effectively.
all right.
Whether to approve or deny.
To deny this request for P-1-25 due to failure to comply to the UDO regarding the 10 acre requirement.
Second.
So I have a first by Stony Van, a second by Shaylee Bradley. I'll call for further discussion before I call for a vote.
So I'd like to get Michelle's opinion on secondary plat requests for a major applicability of this. It doesn't really mention the 10 acres. So on page 170, section 2, major subdivision, secondary plat.
Here, please.
Page 170, section 2, major subdivision, secondary plat request.
Okay. What's your question?
Just says, so what is our interpretation of that? Because it's an existing plat being, and the request is for a secondary plat of an existing. Is that correct?
No, this is a preliminary plat.
Preliminary. Okay.
So just to get you more familiar, so when we do major subdivisions of like 190 lots, you guys are proposed with the overall subdivision of 190. Then usually subdividers come in and only do like infrastructure for 20, 40 lots, and they come in with the final plat for of those lots. So instead of coming back to you guys for yet another approval of a plat that you technically have given your stamp of approval to, the secondary plats are just we review to make sure that they still conform with everything. The lots are still the same size, all that stuff's still the same. And then all the sureties are in place, and that's done administrative along with the commissioners to approve the surety bonds and stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none.
Yeah, I'd like to add something real quick. Just because of how much I personally travel by this location, for public safety purposes, in regards to traffic, I will be voting against P-125, just because of the near misses I've personally seen. There's just something, about that location that I think we need to make sure we're thinking about it from a safety perspective. I know traffic have come back and said and gave their input, but just because of what I've personally seen, I can't get there.
I guess, Doug, my fear is that it's gonna be worse. Because you could put a much larger, higher volume business on that site today. That's my biggest concern around that area. And
Yeah.
all the lots north of it are also commercial. So there's nothing preventing Mr. Edwards, all the owners north of that site to also develop. If someone would come in and offer them $1 million for their property or $2 million for the property, we have no say or no restrictions on it.
Well, I think we do have say in regards to promotion of public safety.
And that's what I'm saying is if it were allowed to be subdivided, is it less volume across the two versus higher volume across the one?
Yeah, I'd like to try to address that a little bit. And Michelle, this is where I'm gonna need some input from you.
Okay.
In the ordinance, if this were instead of being a request to divide two pieces of property, was instead a request for a development plan.
Mhm.
I don't know if we have that per se in our.
Yeah, we do.
We do, okay.
It's administrative though.
Okay. Does it provide any discretion or latitude in that development plan review process to require any traffic mediation?
So during development plan, it would be going through our TRC review. And at that point, there is a provision about traffic study. I mean, that was one of the provisions that we worked with the highway department to put in because it was never in the ordinance in the first place. That they at their discretion can ask for a traffic study. And then that would just be something that based on those results, the highway department can request different modifications in AXL, decel lane, a turning right lane, or whatever they need to do to improve that intersection or that road for that anticipated traffic. So that would be something that we would rely on the highway department to either require and review. Because it is just something that's their roles and responsibilities to review traffic studies or request them. So.
Thank you. I wanted to bring that up because I think that helps address the issue of if it's not subdivided, a larger development could be placed on there and we or the county couldn't do anything to improve the traffic situation in that case. And from what I understand from what Michelle has said, there really is a mechanism for helping address that, even without going through the subdivision process.
Okay.
But a traffic study doesn't necessarily stop any development. They wouldn't say, no, we can't handle it. It would just say that this intersection or this road is either at this level or needs to be at this level. And these are improvements that are needed to be made for it to handle that traffic load. And that would be either increasing the travel lanes or increasing the XL decel lanes or center lane or that kind of stuff. So.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that everyone was clear.
Okay. Any other discussion? So we have a motion by Stoney first and by Shaley a second. And in order to make things clear, this is against
To deny.
to deny P-1-25. So a yes vote is to deny.
Correct.
So going forward, I'll take a roll call vote. Shaley Bradley,
Yes.
Charlie Canary,
Yes.
Douglas Gray,
Yes.
Steve Hickman,
No.
Jonathan Myers, yes. Robert Page,
No.
Stoney Van,
Yes.
and as I tally the votes here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2. Motion carries and P-125 fails.
It's denied.
It's denied.
Now, we do have some procedural follow-up
findings of fact. They are needed in this case, and it's obviously the decision is contrary to what was recommended in the staff report, so we can't just merely adopt the staff report. We've heard two things in particular as to what you may say is the basis for your denial. And one being the 10-acre requirement, and the second I heard
Public safety.
public safety, in particular the transportation infrastructure in that area, concerns about the public safety in that respect. Michelle, would you recommend that at this point we continue the proceedings to the next meeting so that you can prepare
So
finding facts
What we-
consistent with that, or what?
what we usually do is for Board of Zoning Appeals, which we adopt findings of facts for each petition, is if the board has obviously made a different decision than what staff recommends, then the findings of facts are adopted at the next meeting that is prepared by staff based on your guys's discussion and motion. And then you guys just adopt the findings of facts at that meeting.
So do we need to take any further action at this time?
I would suggest that you direct the staff to prepare findings of fact consistent with your decision and the hearing that took place tonight. If there's anything else that in particular you would like to see included in those proposed findings of fact, so now would be a good time to state that it has to be part of what was in the record already. Can't be anything new. Otherwise, you can just ask the staff to prepare that for the next meeting.
Staff, could you prepare that for the next meeting?
Yes.
Please. And would anyone up here like to specify a certain thing that they would like to see? I would like to see the 10-acre versus,
Yeah, that will be in there.
okay.
Can we see that letter from the state health department with that, or no?
Got it.
Could that be something that? Just put the septic field in the soil,
Well, it was certainly referenced in the hearing, so I think that's fair game. So
If
that
he's
can be
gonna give that,
provided.
yeah, if he gives that to you now, he's gonna have to leave that for me to get a copy of it to be added to the record.
Two copies, right there.
Has anybody seen the
Want to
copy?
step forward right now and give that to staff.
So.
And I don't mind that being part of it. I haven't seen that letter. So if I said yes, and I don't, well, I don't know. Do we need to? I
Give me
don't
one
know. Is
copy.
that, You know what I'm saying? For us to say, yeah, we already included the letter and you haven't seen it.
Some of that, and when you talk about some more soil work, they talk about when doing the soil pre-preparation, that's when we get into additional damage to the site. That's when it gets more risky, might render the site unusable when you try to improve it. It's in there. That's the state letter. Elizabeth is a little bit intimidated with the state because she doesn't want to step in front of their guidelines. I think the state gives us this, so you can see how serious the problem is. That's my point.
He's talking about Betsy.
No, Liz,
Okay.
she's she's an environmental scientist.
Elizabeth, just science, she's been here for 20 years.
Okay, so the record shows that Mr. Bonson gave you a letter.
Bill, so submit that into the record and what you were asking was, so is there consensus on that to submit that into the record for the proceeding tonight?
I'm sorry. Is there a consensus of the board to submit or to accept that letter from the state health department into the record for tonight's proceedings?
I'll ask for an aye or a nay.
I'm fine with it.
So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes. There you have it.
Thank you.
And also for the record, and petitioner would be most interested in this, I think. The time period for appealing the decision, to the extent that it exists, will not run until the findings of fact, or I should say the clock won't start until the findings of fact have been adopted. Presumably it'll be adopted at the next meeting, but just so there's no question,
or concerned that the clock is starting tonight.
Okay, any further discussion? So if I hear no further business, then this public meeting is adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, please. All
Motion to
those in
adjourn.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public meeting is adjourned. All right, we have more business to conduct though.
I think you meant the public hearing.
Yeah, the public.
Public hearing is closed. Okay.
All right. So. No new hearings, no old business. Any new business? Michelle?
No.
Okay. Any reports or recommendations at this time? I'll take a motion to adjourn then.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Okay. Motion by Steve, seconded by. Is that Stoney?
Yes.
Okay.
Michelle, is there any secretary signatures?
He has it. Make sure you sign it and make sure he doesn't run off with it.
All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So we're adjourned. Thank you. Good night on.